All right, guys, here we go with the notes for Chapter 21, kind of picking up where we left off with Chapter 20, talking about home studio technology. And we're going to get into some nuts and bolts on some things when it comes to working in your home studio and providing certain services to clients. Now, most of you should be taking the radio and audio production class at the same time that you're taking this class. So really, the stuff in this chapter should, by and large, should be a review for you. Now, let's talk about wearing the hat of the audio engineer. At the very least, as a voice actor, you will need to master your chosen audio recording software and equipment so that you can record and deliver pristine audio. Know how the equipment works in your studio. Know how your software works. Use those to your best advantage so that the recordings you create are of quality. Be prepared to spend some time learning how to edit out breaths and how to adjust spacing between words and phrases. This will take you a long way so that when you do editing, the final product sounds natural and complete. Chances are you may never be asked to provide anything more than an edited recording of your voice, but understanding the basics of sound reproduction, recording technology, and the editing process will ultimately make your life easier. So, we're talking about some of the nuts and bolts in this chapter of recording and editing and that sort of thing. Most voice actors are not asked to do those things. That's left to whoever the producer or the engineer, the producer or the engineer is, to be able to take your audio and turn it into a complete product, especially if there's other music, sound effects, other voice actors that are a part of the production. But understanding what they're going to be going through is going to make their job a whole lot easier. Or if you're doing the editing yourself, make your job a whole lot easier. And someone that has to edit after you, if you've been conscious of the things that they have to do, they're going to love you for it. Now, let's talk about digital audio formats. All high-quality audio recording software and professional digital recorders will record audio in one of the two primary uncompressed native audio formats, and that is WAV and AIFF. WAV is the default audio format for Windows PCs, AIFF for the Mac. These are lossless audio formats. They are uncompressed audio formats. So they retain as much of the integrity of the audio as you can possibly get with a digital recording, and as a result tend to be rather large files when it's all said and done. The term lossy is not a reflection on the quality, but it simply means that the resulting file is created by losing some portion of the original data. Basically, what that means is that as we go through, we'll talk about things like how many samples per second, how many bits are used to come up with the audio file, and things like that. Lossy basically means that they're taking some of that data out. So it is not as true to the original audio as it could be, but there's strategies that are in place to still make it sound nice and clean. The MP3 lossy format compresses or reduces the audio data size by removing audio data that is beyond the hearing range of most people, and then compressing the remaining data as efficiently as possible. MP3 tends to be the most popular lossy format out there, and most folks are going to want your finished product as an MP3 because the quality is good enough and the file size is such that it's fairly easily transferable over the internet and through email and all those sorts of things, where it may be difficult and sometimes even prohibitive to transfer a WAV file from place to place. There are other audio formats that are out there that may be asked for. There's a list of those in your textbook. Let's talk about sample rate and bit rate. The sample rate is the speed at which analog audio is scanned or sampled by the computer as it is converted to a digital representation of that analog signal. So if you have a recording that is at 44.1 kilohertz or 44,100 hertz, that means that any given second of analog audio is sampled 44,100 times. So that's how many samples per second the audio is. That's basically what we mean by hertz. 44,100 hertz is 44,100 samples, and that's every second. 44.1, by the way, the standard size rate, the standard sample rate for audio CDs, and it is used for most audio recordings. You may also see 48 kilohertz out there. That tends to be more of a video standard, but it is one that is increasingly being used for just pure audio as well. The bit rate refers to the number of data bits, the ones and the zeros, the binary type stuff, that's included in each individual sample of the incoming audio. So if you have a recording that is 16-bit, that means there's a combination of 16 zeros and ones used to represent each of those 44,100 samples per second. So the higher the bit rate, the higher the quality of the analog to digital conversion. The bit rate of audio can be compared to like the dot resolution of an image. So if you have an image that prints out at 600 dots per inch, 600 dpi from your printer, that's going to be a crisper, clearer, higher quality image than something printed at like 300 dpi. So something to keep in mind there. Broadcast quality standard, CD quality standard, is 44,100 samples per second and 16-bit in terms of a bit rate. So in most cases, if you use those values, you're going to be fine. You're going to be in the generally accepted area. But that is one of those things that when you go into a recording session and you're responsible for sending off the final product, you want to make sure that that is what the client wants. Do they want CD quality, broadcast quality, or do they want something better? Equipment upgrades. The challenge with any digital audio recorder is in getting the audio file out of the device and into a computer where it can be edited. With professional devices, a simple USB connection to a computer is really all that is needed. Most professional quality recording devices is going to have the ability for you to connect either directly to the computer and transfer a file in that fashion, or allow you to hook up to a mixer and be able to transfer the audio in that way. Docking bays and recording and editing apps are available for tablets and smartphones, especially in the iOS universe. There are a lot of different tools out there where you can integrate recording equipment with your iPhone or your iPad. Android is picking up steam in that area. So whatever your favorite flavor of mobile computing is, you can most likely find tools that will allow you to use that as a portable recording device. Equipment that is installed outside of your mixer or computer is generally referred to as outboard equipment, but much of the signal processing that once required outboard gear can now be achieved with a VST plugin, VST standing for Virtual Studio Technology. So when we talk about outboard equipment, we're talking about things that take the audio that you record into your microphone, and perhaps does different sorts of effects to that voice, whether it's compressing the audio, limiting the audio, doing some equalization to it, adjusting your lows, your mids, your highs, all that sort of thing. Most of the time you can get fairly decent representations of what that outboard equipment can do through plugins in your audio recording software. For the purposes of what we do, though, unless you are responsible for creating a final product, the main thing that you want to do is create as clean and unedited a voice as you possibly can. Use as little effects as you possibly can. Because, again, especially if an engineer is going to take your voice and do stuff with it, there's going to be certain things that they may be looking to do themselves. And it's much easier for them to work with the raw, unprocessed audio. Now, some other things to look out for. A signal processor can be any device that modifies or adjusts an audio signal. The most common processors include a compressor or limiter, an equalizer, a de-esser, noise reduction, declicker, signal enhancer, mic preamp. So again, these are things that if you are not using external devices, there's various plugins that can do very similar sort of things. An external mic preamp will generally be of a higher quality than the built-in preamp in your mixer or your USB interface, but it will also be more expensive. These can be as simple as something like a direct box that is a lot of people that play instruments will use those to be able to get an audio signal into a soundboard, for example. But there's all sorts of other types of amplifiers, gain controls that you can use in conjunction with your recording equipment to help you pack a little more punch in terms of the volume of your audio and getting it into your recording. Powered speakers have its amplifier built in. We talked about that a little bit in the last chapter. Different microphones can produce different results from your voice recordings. So play around if you have the luxury to. Do some trial and error. You may find that certain types of microphones pick up your voice better, make your voice sound better than other microphones. I've known people that have used instrument microphones to record their voice and have had great success. I've known people that have used little cheap condenser microphones that come with an old school cassette recorder and have done really well with those. It's trial and error, really, and playing around with the mic, know what the mic can do, what sort of pickup pattern it has, how you interact with the mic, all those things are going to come into play. And again, most outboard hardware has a VST plugin equivalent, so that you don't necessarily have to go and buy all sorts of different devices to get certain effects that you want or need. Now, once upon a time, there was what was really popular for sending audio from one studio to another. It's still around today, but not used near as much. ISDN, Integrated Services Digital Network. ISDN is basically a hardwired digital phone. It's provided by your local phone company that will connect your home studio to any other ISDN studio in the world. The receiving studio must have a compatible codec in order to receive your audio. So you would need a specialized device, and the other studio would need to have the same device or a device that's compatible with what you have in order to be able to interpret the information that you are sending down the line. Now, these lines were very expensive to have installed, and the monthly charge to maintain the line was rather expensive as well. These days, though, there are cost-effective alternatives. They use internet technology to provide real-time remote recording similar to ISDN. The overarching term for this is VoIP, Voice over Internet Protocol. And we are seeing broadcast quality equipment now using VoIP in order to send and receive information. These can range from anywhere from around $400 to $500, something like a barracks box, to equipment that costs thousands of dollars and offers a lot of versatility. But it is something that is becoming more and more commonplace. The latency has gotten much and much better in being able to send and receive audio. And that's something that, as far as an investment, once you get to where you are making decent money doing voice acting work, it might be something that you want to consider in order to deliver content to someone in as instantaneous a way as possible. Most of the time, though, for most recording purposes, the ability to record, save a file, and then send the finished MP3 product over through email or FTP or something like that is going to serve most people's needs. The only time that might not work as well is you have to do something that absolutely needs to be live. And that's the case where either ISDN or VoIP would serve the purpose there. This is a good point for us to take a break. We will finish up the chapter with part B of the video. We'll see you over there.